Hi, welcome to a Feldenkrais lesson to help soften the body and make you feel wonderful in your whole self. Come to lie down on the back. I will do some of the movements with you, but these movements today will be much more imperceptible, so they'll be harder to see. So just follow the instructions that you hear, and if at any point you're confused, you can check in with me and see. And I'll repeat the instructions. So as you rest on your back, notice your contact. And notice the pressure from the floor beneath you and anything else that you notice. And then bring your attention to your right heel, sensing the contact of your right heel, sensing the contact of your right calf and the amount of space it takes up, sensing the contact of your right thigh and your right hip joint on the right side of the pelvis. And get a sense of how long your leg is from heel to hip joint on the right. And then move your attention to the left heel and notice the contact there, what aspect of the heel rests on the floor. Moving your attention up to the left calf, noticing its pressure and contact, noticing the left thigh and the left hip joint, and the whole long left leg. And comparing the two legs to see if one feels longer or wider or heavier in your sense. And then feeling the weight of the pelvis, noticing if you feel the flat bone of the sacrum behind you or you have more weight on one buttock. And whatever it is, just notice it and don't judge it. Just let it be. We're going to change it through the course of the lesson. This lesson, in fact, is all about changing our patterns. So it's going to be very gentle as you continue to notice your back now on the floor, noticing what parts of your spine touch the floor, where is there pressure and contact, and where is there lifting. And just noticing spine, noticing the parts of the back of the chest that touch the floor, in between the shoulder blades, and feeling the shoulders themselves, noticing if one shoulder feels different from the other in size or weight or pressure. And then feeling the long arms, noticing the right arm and its contact, the orientation of your palm, and the space between your fingers, and the left arm and its contact, how you have the palm oriented and the space between the fingers on the left. And taking a moment to sense all the space between your fingers and toes and around your body. And then draw your attention back up to your neck and notice the curvature of your neck, noticing if your head is resting on the back of your head, which is indicated by the nose pointing directly at the ceiling, and the face being parallel. Notice if the head is a bit tipped down with the chin toward the chest, or the chin is up, right or left, and just notice if that's the place where you rest. Wherever you are, it's fine. We're going to play with these patterns now. So feel which shoulder is heavier as you rest on the ground. And as you notice which shoulder is a bit heavier, begin to make a movement of pressing that shoulder into the ground and releasing the pressing. So you're just going to press the heavier shoulder into the ground as you breathe and release the pressing. So whichever shoulder is heavier, we're exaggerating that movement by pressing that shoulder a little bit into the floor and then letting that go very slowly. You might want to exhale as you press and inhale as you release the pressing. Feeling the weight of that shoulder get a little bit heavier. Notice if you press down on all the parts of the shoulder or just part of the shoulder blade, how large of a space do you press down, or is it just the corner, the very top? And a couple of times try just pressing the very corner of the shoulder a little bit back toward the floor. And very gentle so you don't pull or strain. And then pause that. Notice the difference between your two shoulders now, and now let's lift the shoulder that's lighter. So the lighter shoulder, you're going to lift slightly off the floor, but it's a very small movement, just like before, so it's just a small lifting. And you lift the shoulder and place it back down gently, paying attention to how it returns to the floor, as well as how lightly you can lift it without any tension in the rest of the body. See if you can do this while breathing and keeping the body relatively quiet, noticing responses but not activating as you lift your lighter shoulder. So we're going into the pattern of the light shoulder and the heavy shoulder. And when we go toward the pattern or toward the pain, what happens is it begins to release and become symmetrical. Now that may not happen right away. Pause and rest and see the difference between your shoulders now. If they are in fact more symmetrical or if they are less symmetrical than they were before. And either way is fine because we will do the opposite. And now notice the heavier side of your pelvis and begin to press the heavier side of your pelvis a little more into the floor. And you might think of the pelvis just getting a little heavier on that side. Maybe the leg feels that response of the pelvis or the whole side, and then you release the pressing. The heavier side of your pelvis presses, maybe as you exhale, and then you release that pressing. And now see if you can do it without engaging a lot of the other muscles. If you can keep the lower belly and lower back relatively quiet as you press that side of the pelvis that you feel is heavier. Pressing and letting go. Very gentle movement. Just slight exaggeration to let the body know that we can go in that direction. And once we do, it understands that it can start to come back and be less heavy. But you notice what you notice as you press. And then pause that. Notice that side of your pelvis compared to the other side. And now we're going to lift the lighter side of the pelvis. So it's a very small movement of lifting and putting the pelvis down. And it's very small because you don't want to activate the rest of the body. You might get a sense of the legs starting to roll or just respond, but make sure the belly's soft, the lower back. And each time see where you can do less to lift your pelvis. Again, it's a very small movement of lifting. Just enough to understand that the side is a little lighter. And as you lift, feel the heavier side gets heavier and return. Smaller each time if you can. And the smaller you go, the more of an effect you get with this kind of movement, or we could say exercise, but more of an experience. But as you do this, the smaller and slower you go, the bigger effect you get. And you'll see at the end. Pause for a moment and rest on your back and compare the two sides of the pelvis. And once again, notice if they are more symmetrical or less. And just take a moment to breathe and sense your shoulders and your pelvis. Now we're going to combine a couple of movements. So the shoulder that's heavier, we're going to press that once again, and the foot that's on the same side, we're going to take that pinky toe toward the floor as we do. So as you press your heavier shoulder, take your pinky toe on that side to the floor, and as you release the pressing, bring it back. And try that again, pinky toe to the floor as you press the heavier shoulder, and then release both as you come back. Each time you press the shoulder and breathe, the pinky toe comes to the floor and back. Notice how you breathe, if your breathing is ongoing and fluid. Not every breath is the same, but you just want to make sure that you're breathing in a way where you're not overexciting the body. And then pause that and rest for a moment on your back, just noticing the difference between the two sides. And now we're going to add in the other foot too. So when you're ready, we're going to not only press the shoulder, but we're going to bring the pinky toe toward the floor and the other foot to the side to go with the heavier shoulder. So as the heavier shoulder presses, the toes both go to the right. The toes of both feet are going towards the right as you press the shoulder and back. As you go into the pattern of pressing the shoulder, both feet go to the right. You don't have to go as far as mine are going. They don't have to touch the floor. I just want to show you which direction you're going in. So notice if you only go a little bit, that's fine. Just notice what the body can do easily and don't go beyond that. We're combining 3 movements now, so you want to keep the body soft as you press the shoulder and take the feet, and as you keep the breath soft. Can your movement soften your breath? And then pause for a moment, resting and just noticing again the contact and difference between your two sides. And now notice the heaviest side of your chest. So unlike the shoulders, we're looking at the back of the chest, which is a little bit lower than the shoulders. Whichever side is heavier, begin to press that side of the chest into the ground a little more and release. And here we're kind of isolating or reaching, but we're also trying to relax the rest of the body while we press the chest without a lot of effort. Just letting that side of the chest press down and let go. So right about here, I have my hand on the side of the chest, I'm pressing and I'm pressing it down and it's coming up so you can see the hand move if you're not sure where to press. Pressing the heavier side of the chest and letting go of the pressing. And now it's getting a little easier so you can see I'm moving slower, doing less. And then pause that. And remember back to the scan in the beginning when you notice the direction of your nose pointing toward the ceiling. Notice if your nose is pointing a little up, down, right, or left from center. If you think it's in the middle, pick a direction or take your head side to side and notice which side is easier. And the side that's easier, you're going to take your nose in that direction. So wherever it's easier to take the nose, whether it's up, down, right, or left, take it in that direction and then take the nose back to center. And continue to do that. So you're either rolling the head or the head is going up and down. Maybe you're at a diagonal. You just notice what direction does the nose go in the easiest and follow that path. Soft and gentle movements. Following the path of the nose in the easiest direction. And then coming to pause and rest your head and notice where you come to rest on the back of the head. And notice your arms and hands and how they rest. So if you have palms oriented face up, notice which one is a little more turned out toward the thumb. If palms are face down, notice which one is more turned out toward the pinky. And we're going to roll in that direction on the floor like this with the hands. I'm going to move down so you can see me. So we're going to move on. I'm going to have this hand on the belly, but this should be on the floor on the other side. So we're taking the hands to the side, rolling them in the direction that you feel one hand is already rolled out towards. So if I have my hands up and I feel this thumb is more rolled out, I would go this way. So just continue to do that on the floor, rolling both hands in the direction of the hand that's turned out more. And breathing. And see how softly you can do this movement, how easily. Where can you reduce the effort as you breathe in this movement? You can start to go slower. Just feeling the nice move, almost like rocking on a boat. The wrist gliding in one direction and then the other. And then bring your wrist to a pause for a moment and just sense and feel your contact. And now come up and come all the way to stand. So take your time, and I can't stand with you, but I'll be right here while you come to stand. We're just going to check out the feet. So as you come to stand, feel which foot feels heavier on the ground. So once you arrive, just feel which part of the foot feels the heaviest, and then you're going to exaggerate that. So let's say the heaviest part of my foot is the back of my right heel. I'm going to press more into my right heel as I'm standing. So press and let go, press and let go. To the heaviest part of the foot, you're pressing it in just a little bit more as you stand. You can do it like I'm doing it, but it's better to do it in standing if you can, or in a chair, making the heaviest part of your foot even heavier. And the movement might get smaller as you go along. And just breathe while you stand, making this an easy movement of just pressing into the heaviest part of your foot and breathing. Going with the pattern. And now go ahead and come down to all fours and just get a sense of your tailbone. Does it feel like it's pointing up or down? And just notice which direction you feel it's going in, and then go in that direction a little more. So I'm going to demonstrate both. I'm going to start with if we're taking the tailbone and tucking it down more. It's going to look a lot like cat. But what we're doing is tucking in the tailbone more, so that your attention is all the way on your tailbone and the back tucking and coming out. Now, if your tailbone's more lifted, it's going to feel a little bit more like cow. And the focus in the movement is on the tailbone, not in trying to do cat or cow. So you're just exaggerating the direction your tailbone is going in. Don't do both directions. Just go in the direction you feel your tailbone is already going in and exaggerate that. All right, pause that and come back up to standing. I'm here with you in sitting, but as you're in standing, notice if your pelvis is turned more right or left. You can place your hands on your hips. You can also turn and see. I have one hip that feels further back here, so my guess is I'm turning more this way. So once you notice, turn in the direction that you feel your pelvis is going in a little more easily. Again, you can do this on the floor, but it's much better to do it in standing if you can, turning your pelvis to the direction it's already going in easily. And breathing. And maybe the movement gets smaller. Just notice, maybe it gets easier to come back. And then pause that and get a sense of which direction your chest and shoulders are turning in. So you can do that by just turning side to side with chest and shoulders and feeling, okay, one side's easier. Turn your chest and shoulders to that side. So chest and shoulders are now turning to the easier side and coming back to neutral as you breathe. Trying to make this easy, especially if you're in standing. Just make this easy. Breathe. You can go slow as you like, taking the chest and shoulders in the direction they're going. Pause in the middle. And now notice if your head is a little bit over one foot or the other. Maybe one side of the pelvis or the other, but if in standing, you should sense it over the feet. So if you feel like the head is more balanced over your right or your left, we're going to exaggerate that. So press into the foot on that side and take the head in that direction, and then take your nose in the same direction you were going when you noticed the nose was going in a certain direction. So maybe for you that was up or down, right or left, could be opposite. So continue to do that movement. Taking the nose in the direction as well as the head. So the head is going over that foot. So you're kind of shifting the whole body over that foot and then turning the head and nose in whatever direction you turned in before. Shifting over to the foot, turning the nose wherever you turned. Just exaggerating patterns. As soon as we exaggerate anything, it becomes so obvious to the nervous system that it just counters it on its own. So we're actually doing the work of priming our nervous system to take care of all of our habitual patterns that get in our way without us having to do more than this, which we can consider play. Pause for a moment and just take a moment to pause. We're going to do everything together. So in standing, we've got the hip moving in one direction. Remember the direction of your hips. The chest and shoulders are moving in one direction. It might be opposite. And you've also got the head. So we're going to do all those at the same time, and it might look very awkward like mine does. So start with your pelvis, and then your chest and shoulders, and then your head, and then your nose. And then come all the way back and do that again. Now, maybe for you, they're all turned in the same direction, but if not, take a moment to really feel the different directions of the head, nose, chest, and shoulders and hips. Combining all of these movements together, turning the pelvis where it goes easily, the chest, the head, and the nose. All right, pause that and come to walk around, because we are going to do this on the other side too. But for now, sense any imbalances, or if this has balanced your patterns out. It could do either one in the process. And now come to lie down when you're ready, coming back to the mat. And just get a sense of your contact on the floor. And now we'll start to press the lighter shoulder into the floor and release the pressing. So now it's the lighter shoulder, the one you are lifting, that you're pressing. And it's a very gentle press and a release. And you might already feel like there's more space in the body as you move and as you breathe, or a little more ease. But notice what you notice. Pressing your shoulder and then slowly releasing the pressing. Very gentle movement here. And then pausing that when you're ready. Going to the other shoulder, we're going to lift the shoulder we were pressing before. So now we're going to lift that shoulder just a little bit off the floor. You can think of peeling it away from the floor, or you just notice how you lift the shoulder in your own way. You might exhale so the side of the chest can start to soften a little bit to bring the shoulder up. Making maybe of exhaling to allow the shoulder to come up easier. And just noticing if that's helping or not. Now this heavier shoulder, as it lifts, let the weight go to the other side, to the other shoulder. That was just pressing, so it can also receive that weight now. And then pause that, resting for a moment. And the side of the pelvis that you lifted before, we're now going to press it. So that same side is pressing and releasing. Pressing and releasing. And my hand on my hip so you can see the pressing, because it's a very small movement. And you press and you breathe, making that side of the pelvis heavier and lighter. Maybe going with your breath, maybe exhaling to make it heavier and inhaling to make it lighter, whatever feels like it works well for you. And then pause that. Rest for just a moment. When you feel ready, we're going to lift the other side. So the side we were pressing before is now going to lift. So it's just a small movement of lifting the pelvis and placing it down. Again, it's not very large. And it's just enough to shift the weight. I have my hand on my pelvis in case you need to see the movement. It's very small. Small movement of lifting that side of the pelvis and feeling the weight go to the other side. Pause that and let that go. And now the shoulder that was later the first time, that's now the one we're playing with, is heavier. We're going to press that into the floor as we bring the pinky toes of the left foot toward the ground. So at the same time as we press the shoulder, we're bringing those pinky toes of the left foot down and up. Pressing the shoulder, this is your second side, the one that was lighter, now we're working on heavier. And as it presses, the pinky toes of that foot go to the side, and you breathe. Pause for a moment, and now let's take both feet with the shoulder. So as you press the heavier shoulder, both feet go to that side. And notice that the pressing of the shoulder doesn't help the feet or vice versa. And keeping in mind your feet don't have to go as far as mine are going. I'm trying to demo for you. I think if I were to do it naturally, they wouldn't go as far. because it's just a little pressing. And the feet are relaxed. And then pause that and rest for just a moment, noticing your contact. And now let's take that side of the chest that's lighter, the one that we didn't press before, and start to press that. So you're going to find that side of your chest in the back, and you're going to press that side back. And it might take you some time to figure out how to get there. I'm working on it now, so I'm thinking of pressing the side of my chest back. I'm realizing I have to soften a lot in order to do that. There's some places I have to let go of, and I have to breathe and just kind of let the body let go of resistance so this can sink like that. So just notice as you press the side of your chest back, let everything else just relax and sink. Pressing the chest and letting go of the pressing. So just like me, it might take you a moment to find the movement, to make it small and easy, but once you do, keep making it small and easy. The nervous system here is the slower, smaller movements as larger instructions. Notice if that side of the chest is changing shape as you press. And then pause that for a minute and rest on your back. And now whichever hand was turned out less, if the hand was turned in, if it was on this side, if it was turned towards the thumb, or if it was in a different direction, we're going to go towards the side that was turned less. So the side that's turned out more is now going to the other side with the hands. So wherever your hands are, just start to roll them. I'm putting one on my stomach so you can see the pattern. The other hand is by your side. So both hands by your side turning. If palms are up, it looks different. It's essentially the same, just turning the wrists and then seeing how smooth you can make this movement with your breathing and with the rest of yourself. Smoothing out the movement as you breathe, maybe doing less now. And then pause for a moment and rest on your back. And then slowly take your time to roll around to seated and come all the way up to stand if you can. If not, sit in a chair or you can follow me on the floor, but standing is best for this. Find out which part of your foot feels the lightest and just notice where it feels like there's more pressure in every other part but there. So for me, it's in the front of my left foot, so I'm going to apply more pressure there now and let go of that. So notice where you have the lightest pressure, and then placing more pressure on that part of the foot as you breathe, and then slowly releasing that pressure. Doing this in standing if you can. Applying a little more pressure where you have less pressure in the feet, and then releasing that pressure. Pausing, and then trying it again. Just feeling the difference in contact as you have more pressure there. What changes in your body? Noticing anything that's different. And then pause this movement of pressing the feet for a moment and just stand. And then we're gonna do the image of the tailbone. So you can stay in standing or you can come down to all fours. What we're gonna do is go in the opposite direction. So if you were tucking before, now you're gonna be lifting. And if you were lifting before, now you're gonna be tucking. So I'm gonna demonstrate lifting first. Just going back to neutral, and from there you lift the tailbone. Now you can do this in standing or on all fours, so whatever is easier. And you're doing the opposite pattern that you did before. So if you were tucking before, you're lifting, and if you were lifting before, now you're tucking. I'm demonstrating both, but just do the one that you didn't do last time. Feeling the opposite direction and noticing going from the tailbone and that sensation there. So everything is from the tailbone. The movement itself is from the tailbone. Pausing that, coming back into standing if it's comfortable. And now we're going to turn the pelvis in the direction that it wasn't going in before. So we're going opposite direction with your pelvis. So if you went right before, you're going to turn it left. And if you went left before, you're going to turn it right. And continuing to turn your pelvis in the easier direction. Pause that for a moment. And then take the chest and shoulders in the opposite direction from before. So if you were going right, now you're going left. Just remembering the opposite direction and playing with this movement now in the opposite direction and standing if it's comfortable. If not, you're seated in a chair on the floor. And now taking the head to be over the other foot. So if I was taking my head to the right foot, now I'm going to take it to the left. So I'm going to take my head to the left foot and back, to the left foot and back. And then I'm going to add in the nose. So if my nose is going to the right, I'm going to turn it to the right as I go to bring my head over that left foot. Maybe your head is going over your right foot. Just notice, which side do you look to? And then pause that for a moment, and we're going to put everything together. So taking the pelvis in its second direction, taking the chest in its second direction, taking the head in its next direction, and the nose. And then starting that again, seeing if you can remember the directions. Pelvis, chest and shoulders, head and nose. Maybe starting from the head and nose, chest and shoulders, pelvis. Let's try that again. Head and nose, chest and shoulders, pelvis. And then see, can you do it all together fluidly? Make it into one movement. And then can you do the other side again? Let's reverse it. Going back to the first way you turned. Doing that one more time. And pause that and just notice your contact on your feet and take a moment to walk around. And I hope you feel amazing today. I hope all of these patterns balance out in your nervous system so that there's no strain, tension, or pain today. I hope you feel wonderful. Thank you for joining me.